How long should you veg your plants for? All right, that's going to be the topic today. Before we get into it, this video is sponsored by Real Growers Grow Dots, the absolute easiest way to feed your plants. Just mix them in once at the beginning of your veg cycle, and that one application feeds your plants all the way to harvest. They're programmed release, so you don't have to worry about overfeeding, underfeeding, nutrient burn, nutrient deficiency. I'm telling you, the absolute easiest way to feed your plants. Learn more over at realgrowers.com. All right, come on, let's get into it. Come on, High C. How long should we veg our plants for? I guess it does depend, man. We doing sea of green, growing big old trees?
Yeah, so explain what sea of green is versus growing big old trees.
Sea of green is simply just having a lot of plants right close to each other. So it's just a sea of plants. You're just looking everywhere. There's maybe 1 or 3 gallons just right up next to each other. All you're growing is tops. You're maybe vegging these things for 2 weeks. You're getting them to be 18 inches, 12 inches tall, and then just growing tops. And think about all the energy that saves in veg. I mean, vegetative is 18 hours of sunlight compared to 12 hours of light with flowering. You're saving substantially there. And then just look at all the time you're saving. Instead of going 6 or 8 weeks into veg, you're going 10 days, 2 weeks, and straight into flip, which is great if you don't have a plant count.
Right, so like a big commercial grow might prefer the sea of green.
Sure.
Who would prefer growing the big old trees? You mentioned plant count. Why does that matter?
Yeah, somebody that's concerned with the law, I guess. I know a couple of those people. No, if you have, a 6 plant count, sometimes you can have 6 in veg and 6 in flower. If you are concerned about that, you can veg them. Think about it. You veg them for 6, 7, 8 weeks. They flower for 6, 7, 8 weeks. You've got yourself a perpetual harvest going there. It's a nice setup for somebody that's just growing in a couple tents or something like that.
Right. And so if they're growing big, giant trees, does that mean that they'll get more harvest out of each plant?
Out of each plant, yes. Out of each square foot or square meter, square yard in America, square yard. No, sea of green is actually more efficient. If you're going to take the energy inputs and the time and just the yield per square yard, you'll get more yields per year and more yield out of that square yard than you would if you were growing big trees. Big trees is fairly inefficient. That veg time is all time that you're growing plant material that you're not flowering. So trees are great for plant counts. If I'm growing, if I got 40 or 50 and I've got a 60 plant count, I can do really well with 60 giant trees. I do better with 601 gallons.
But some people can't have 600 plants growing.
No, and think of the maintenance also. I mean, if you're going to try to grow a giant, when you see a sea of green, you're talking just a giant room filled with plants. You better have your irrigation on point. You better be able to, you're going to have something in the center of that grow that you're probably not going to get to if you scrogged. So everything really needs to be dialed in. If I've got, you've seen me, I've got 8, 10 plants growing in there. I mean, 6. And I can go over there and turn them. I can address them. I can pull one out and individually water it. It's a lot different than having that giant screen of green where you're like, I don't know why that area over there isn't working right. So,
okay, now one other difference that I've noticed is you've got these 2x4 tents that are 6 feet tall.
Right.
I have a 2x2 tent and it's only 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
And so if I let my plants veg for too long, by the time that they're ready to harvest, they're actually touching the lights. They're growing up to the very top of the tent. How much does that matter?
A lot. Yeah, strain dependent matters a lot, or the strain that you pick. I mean, there are certain sativas that just want to double. Yeah, they'll at least double in size from the flip. If you pick certain, short, stout plants, they'll stay a little bit lower to where that really has a lot to do. Your strain selection has a lot to do with things. And your overall grow area. In a 2x4 tent, yeah, I'm definitely not vegging for very long.
Okay, so a 2x4 tent, you're probably going to veg for about 4 weeks, not try to go very much longer than that?
Again, it does depend. If you've got some giant, we were just hanging out with commercial grower Matt, and we were talking about a Scroopy Noopers, which is a really small plant, small, dense plant. If you know what you're working with, as opposed to the GMO, which was just a giant stretcher, you really kind of, I mean, these plants come everywhere from Alaska to Africa.
Right.
You know, there's thousands of different types of cannabis, and yeah, you got to kind of consider what you're doing first or what you're working with first.
Okay, so there's not a one size fits all answer for how long you should veg your plants for.
No, not at all. You got to consider what you're working with. You got to consider your grow space. And don't forget, I mean, if you're using CO2 and a ton of light, you got 600-700 ppfd of light, those plants are going to perform. They're going to grow a lot faster. So, yeah, consider that. Consider the stretch. You can usually ask around with the internet and find out if this plant's a stretcher or not. Is it going to stretch 50%? Is it going to stretch 200%? And those are real numbers.
Okay. So overall, if you're trying to do the Sea of Green, I heard about 2 to 3 weeks maximum for veg.
Maximum, yeah.
And then if you're trying to grow like big giant trees, about how long?
There's people that go up to 8 weeks. That's when I use that extended grow dots, and that's why we made the regular grow dots. If you want to do Sea of Green, if you want to just be flipping 18, 24-inch plants, if you want to grow trees, if you're going 6, 7, 8 week veg, that's why we do the extended, because there's
okay, cool.
two different types of growers.
All right, so there's not one answer, and it really depends on a lot of different variables. And just a heads up, if you are growing, we do have grow dots for whatever type of veg style that you're going with.
Absolutely.
Real quick before we're out of here, where can people go if they want to check out the grow dots, both the classic and the extended veg formula?
I mean, go to growdots.com. It's easy enough, right?
Nice. All right. What do we want people to do before they leave?
I want people to let me know how long they veg their plants for. Leave it in the comments. If you dig this video, like it, subscribe to the channel, and check out the other 2 videos YouTube's recommended for you. I'll see you there.